Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Automated Advantage. This week we have Mihika on, who is the CEO and founder of MXN Creative. I hope everybody enjoys this one. I think it's a very interesting perspective on business from a lady's perspective and how she got started in business. Keep rolling in.
I started as a call center agent because I graduated during COVID. So there were no jobs available. I went and I started a social media agency. I'm sorry, my dog hates me right
That's
now.
we
Um,
can edit that
and
out.
then and then from there, I grew through management very, very quickly. And it wasn't even necessarily my team. It was learning how to time manage, I think was the hardest part for me, was managing objectives from ahead, managing the expectations I had for myself, the expectations I had for my team. And I'm a fixer. I want to come in. I don't like to leave things as they are. My structures evolve and change every 3 months. I'm like, if there's a new tool, I'm the first person to hop on that. Corporate doesn't work that quickly. And I learned that very quickly. um, there's this thing of, okay, I want to continue to expand and I was so hungry, but not everyone is going to be as hungry as you are. So you kind of piss a few people off here and there doing that. Even in an individual contributor role, you also kind of run into that.
Mhm.
Uh, it was a very interesting place for me to be, I think. I'm not cut out for corporate.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely it can test a lot of things, and you are very pre-med and all of the very bright person who I think needs a lot of stimulation and that type of stuff. And I think corporate takes a lot of that away. It's and the thing that again you can potentially validate this, but a boss that I had did two things that I thought really helped me enhance too. And he's first in meeting with me when he took over the team was, how do you like to be managed? And I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. And I used to use that mantra, which was, hey, you can tell me I need to call you in the morning, I need to call you at night, tell you what to do, ask you how you did and how your day was, or I can leave you alone and you just call me when you need me. Like there's the ends of the spectrum. And people truly respected that. And I'm curious to get your perspective on if, like just managing people and seeing the different types and how you get people to operate efficiently.
Mhm. And I think one of the things that has got me far is I'm really good with people. I studied industrial organizational psychology, and truly, if you know people, you know business because everyone operates. At the end of the day, we're all in any conversation we have. We all want a specific outcome. So if I can understand what it takes to get you to that outcome, that takes you a lot further than anything else. I think I spent so much time doing that towards other people, but when you got so many people with different personalities and you're trying to work them towards one goal, you really have to adapt a lot. I'm sure you understand
Mhm.
that. It's like even as a manager, I think you have to learn to be very fluid because it's like
Yeah.
let's say you do need to be called all the time. Maybe I'm not the person that likes to call all the time. It makes you really look at yourself.
Yeah, no, that's a really a good point too. And the other piece to me was this. I told my team, and this is not about me, but it highlights a point. Is I told my team, I was like, my job is to support you and all of the things that managers say, but I said I'm also here to quieten the noise, like you, and the levels that come down. And I left a job, and one of the guys who used to work for me called me about a month later, and he goes, you used to say that, and we thought it was a bunch of BS. He goes, oh man, the fact that you're gone now, the new guy doesn't do that. The amount of fire drills that we get and so it's like this, you get to that maturity level of a manager where you're like, I need to make my team have enough information, know what's important and know what's not important, and basically just try and segment them and keep them
Yeah.
working and motivated.
I think one of the biggest traits of a good manager is no matter how chaotic my life is, my team will never know or be impacted by it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's coming above it, it matters how you deliver it. And I've had some really bad bosses um, that, I think I actually had a boss make me cry in the office because I like missed an administrative thing that I didn't even find out about. And I was like, I would never make someone on my team feel like this.
Yeah.
And,
No.
I think that's one of those things where it's like, and she apologized later. She's like, I was having a bad day. No matter what's going on in my life, you have to put that aside.
Yeah.
And business is the same way. You can't drag your baggage into a meeting.
Absolutely. And it's interesting again that I hardly watch the news. I just happened to be walking by this morning and it was on. And they've revalidated that the study that they do all the time about 45% of people quit their boss, not their job. And then they said of those 45%, there was like 28% of them, the bosses had made them cry. Wow. I'm pretty sure I've never made anybody cry. I think. Not in front of me, at least.
I know I haven't. I mean, I think I left that job almost 3 years ago now. I still have people reaching out to me for me to hire them.
Yeah.
So I like to think I did my job, but I will say it, as being somebody who was so young at the time, I particularly realized that my skill set wasn't evolving as quickly as everyone else's.
Mhm.
So that was a really hard decision because I actually really do like managing people.
Yeah, me too, actually. And so moving away a little bit from that and thinking of, talking about your business now and
Yeah.
you can decide how you want to structure the response in the sense that you've got the marketing and the MX and then you've got the luxury brand thing.
Mhm.
If you want to do it separately or together, it's like, what's your objectives? What's your growth strategy? What's your the next I mean, these days you got to do AI. You got to say, what's your next 2 hours look like? But let's just say like the next 6 months. What does that look like?
Oh, I'm excited. You know, I'm actually really excited about the next 6 months. And I don't really look at my companies as that different. I've kind of built my world like an ecosystem. Like I've got a few little DBAs, like I've got a web development company that does 48-hour turnarounds. That feeds leads into my marketing company a lot of times. So that's one way that I've found having conversations with new people. The number one growth strategy to start there is unfortunately leaving your house and getting into the community. Um, when you're going out and you're going out not just to talk and to add value and have interesting conversations and learn about other people, people remember you. You know, I've done a lot of free work. A lot of people will tell you not to do free work. I've done a lot of things as favors because I saw value in somebody else and what they were doing, and I wanted to be around them. So I did a lot of free work. I still do a lot of free work if I believe in people because I want to see other people succeed. And a lot of times I'll do that for somebody. They'll send me a lead. They're like, "Oh, I remembered that you do sales. Can you help me here?" So when you're building, if you know people, you know business. When you're building communities and you're actually genuinely going out of your way to add value, that's been the best lead magnet that there could be. Speaking has been great, but I don't go out of my way to sell. I kind of let my work ethic speak for itself. I don't know if
Yeah,
your experience has been similar.
I think that that's the thing too. Is it's the outcome. It's the outcome. It's the outcome. If you can all agree on the outcome, then the selling part becomes a natural. It's more an educational part. Yeah, I had a situation actually not that long ago. My business is very new, where this guy was willing to give me money to do something, and I just sat back and I said, I don't think I can be successful doing what you want to do. I would hate to take your money and then not be successful. It just doesn't make any sense. And that guy's given me 3 referrals. I've never done business with him, but he's given me 3 referrals just because I was like, I don't think I can help you.
Isn't it crazy? I've done that before. I when I literally like I'm telling you, I did the crazy thing. I zeroed out my income, and I
Me
took all my
too.
clients. And my mom is like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I actually don't know right now, but I know it feels right." When I decided to do that, it was because I was no longer adding value. I think leadership and business all has a comes to a place. It's like a recipe, right? We're cooking at some point, somebody else is going to come along that has something new to add. And that might not be me anymore. And it's kind of knowing when to step away from people, to step away from business and being like, money is great, but if you're only focused on high ticket offers and money, the likelihood is the product isn't that great because you're so focused on the KPIs that don't actually matter. But what's the value add? I'm a very value driven person. And if at the end of the day, as long as my bills are paid, I'm good. I don't need much more than that. I would rather see somebody's brand thriving, the community thriving. But that's just me. I operate a little bit differently.
Yeah, but I think the ethics and the truly caring component of it it makes a big difference. Is I do think that people get transactional do get wrapped up in the axle. And hey, maybe they are monetarily more successful, but at the same time, I also, people, I make a joke and it's absolutely factual is if I put my head on the pillow, I think I'm asleep in like 5 seconds. And I said, because I have a clean conscience and I feel like I
Yeah.
worked hard during the day, right? So, and I think it's not necessarily a natural tendency for a lot of people.
I I pass out like that. And it wasn't until this past year. I don't know if you've had the same experience. I would always go and I'm like, why is that person charging so much more than me? And
Yeah.
it's a lot of it has come out is they're not actually providing the value that they say they're going to a lot of times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of get rich quick schemes out there, but nothing beats good clean business.
And I think that's actually an interesting comment as well because I was looking at somebody talked to me the other day, and this is in the lane of marketing and things like that, and they were like, well, these guys say they'll do a pay per play model, and I was like, here's the deal, they're going to give you a volume play. They've got 1,000 customers. If 500 of them work, they're still doing all right. I've got a few customers. I choose to who I want to work with, but I'm invested in your success. You can choose which model you want, and most often they say, I see your point.
And I think the biggest thing is coming out of the gate. I know you're in a similar field. You can't promise the world because the reality is these algorithms are rapidly changing. So let's say your Instagram goes down. What are you going to do? Did you convert any of those to actual leads? And
Yeah,
that's happened to people that I've worked with before. They're no longer working with me. They get their Instagram up to a certain number and it goes poof.
yeah,
They didn't convert any of those to emails. They didn't convert that to a community that wanted to check in and be there. And when you're not adding value to your demographic, when you're running these big number games, of course the odds mean you're going to hit. But I would be interested to see those retention rates as well.
yeah. I think that's a fair comment. That's a good metric that people need to push up against. So, kind of taking this go a little bit back, you said, zeroed out your income, rebuilt your brand, started your business. Now, if somebody's sitting there today saying, "Geez, I'm watching this podcast, and one of the things I'm thinking of doing is do my own business." Like, what's your advice, if there is anything? Like, hey, if you need to do one thing, do this, or here's the philosophy that I think you should run by. What would you tell people?
What number one question is, are you sure? Because you're going to work more than you ever have in your whole life. And I always ask people another question. Are you wanting to run a business because you think this is a get rich quick fix, or are you passionate about what you're building? Because if you don't have passion, those days are going to drag very, very quickly. I There have been days where I will sit at this computer for 18 hours and I don't complain once because this is fun for me. I don't know why, but it is. So that's the number one thing you have to ask yourself. But also, really take a step back with your business, with your plan. Don't rush it because whenever you rush it, you're going to miss things, you're going to miss holes. Really figure out what your hole is and what your specific value add is. Whether that's you as a person, whether that's the conversation. But if you're not adding value, then there's really no point. Like, are you doing more of the same? Or is this something that's actually a different take? That's my biggest advice. Like, really look within yourself and be
Yeah,
sure you're ready.
and that's, I mean, I told some guy the other day I was interviewing, I said to him, okay, I'm going to test you and see what you say. And it's like about 25% of entrepreneurs say, my number one advice is don't do it. And second of all is, to your point, every one of them is it's hard work. But two things that I'll say to that is, the other component of it is when you're doing it and you're doing it for yourself, like you said, I've never been a weekend worker. I do my damnedest for work life balance, but at the same time, yeah, on Saturday I found myself, and I'm a little bit behind on some stuff, and it actually made me feel better because I cleaned up some admin stuff and I got some things out of the way. And when I hit this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, those things are off the plate. So validate it's a lot of work. And then when I was looking into a business to get into, and I was looking, people would call me up and say, "Well, here's the deal. We got this thing. If you buy into this business, you can work 2 hours a day and make, $200,000." I was like, first of all, no, that doesn't work like that. And second of all, I'm not. It's not about working 2 hours. I actually like working. I think it's fun. I'm not afraid to put the work in. So if people are buying into the fact that you can work 2 hours a day and make $200,000, okay, maybe. But I don't think that that's a solid business model.
No, it's not. And one more piece of advice I give people, you're not selling a product, you're selling a feeling. And if I had to, I ask everybody this when I do my branding consultations. It takes 3 or 4 times of me meeting the person before I even give them a number because I want to make sure I'm adding value. And one of the first questions I ask is if you had to describe your business in 3 words on how you want your ideal customer to feel, what would that be? And we'll build the brand around that. So ask yourself those 3 questions. What are the 3 words? Is it empowered? Is it luxurious? Is it radiant? Like I just met with an aesthetics company this morning. Like, how do you want the women to walk out or men to walk out feeling when they leave your business? Build your brand around that. Build your product around that. Because you can, products don't sell themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to a guy earlier today too about a networking event that I went to the other day. And I think it highlights a little bit of what you're saying. We were practicing our 30-second pitches, right? And it's like boom, boom, boom. And this one guy got on, and I still remember it. I know exactly what he does. He said, "Hi, my name's whatever, and I'm a mortgage broker and a realtor. I help business owners buy houses because I know their income's a little different to what other people are, and I'll close with for you in 14 days." That was like his pitch. I was like, "Oh my god!" Then the lady next to him sat down and said, "Well, I sell houses, and I got a property that's down the street, and then I work with people." And I was like, boo, 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 boo. And I think your point is valid. Like that guy's got a brand, he's got a story, he's got a pitch, and he knows exactly what his market is for people.
Right. And I think there's a mix of knowing what your market is. And everybody today, I don't know if you experience this, everyone's like niche down, niche down. You don't have to niche down. You just have to be clear. Like
Yeah,
you don't have to do just one thing. You just need to be clear so people understand what you are doing.
yeah,
Because I have fallen victim to that a lot. I'm like, I can ramble, I can talk, but I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter that I'm doing X, Y, and Z or I own multiple companies. There just needs to be clear buckets for people to place them in so they have an understanding of them. Because otherwise, if I'm sounding confused, people are going to be really confused.
yeah. Somebody said nobody buys. The reason people don't buy is because they're confused, right? Then, like, if you can articulate what it is you're selling or what it is you're delivering, your chances of the deal close go from here to here.
Right. That's why it's not a social media problem, it's a positioning problem. It's like everyone's like, I gotta post 3 times a day. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Who told you you had to do this?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's because somebody Googled it or whatever they did it, and that's what it said to do. So,
Chat GPT'd it.
oh my gosh. So very, very enlightening. I love your enthusiasm. I love your bubble. Tell us again the name of the companies that you want, where to find them, where to find you.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So, company number one, marketing, mxn-creative.com. We do free consultations, full brand. I like to say we'll help you design the shoe, create efficiencies around it, and then market it to your ideal customer. JLM Lex Group is luxury without limits. It's jlmluxgroup.com. We also do inquiries there. We can pretty much source any sort of luxury vehicle off or on market, jets, yachts. And then on Instagram, my DJ name is Mihika the Freaka.
I love it. That's
So
where we
remember,
should end. I'm going to go look for that. Well, Mika, I really appreciate the time. This was, like I said, your energy is incredible. I thank you for taking the time out of the day.
thank you so much for having me. I look forward to chatting in the future.
Yep. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Automated Advantage. Our guest today is Mihika. I think I said that right. So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business?
Hi, Mihika. Lovely to meet you. I'm the owner of MXN Creative, which is a brand and technology consulting firm, as well as JLM Flex Group, which is a company that specializes in luxury sales and experiential events.
Very interesting and exciting. So, in our pre-call the other day, we'll definitely get into the luxury brand. So tell us a little bit about, reasons for getting into business, maybe your background, what hole you saw in the market, and why you're
Yeah.
doing this.
It's funny because I never thought I was going to get into business. Thought my entire life I was going to be a doctor. Up until college, I was pre-med. And I took my first business class in college and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I'm a process person and getting to fix things is so fun to me. So once that shoe kind of clicked, I went through with my MBA, all of that. I always kind of knew that I was going to go towards more of a creative field and I like fixing problems. I'm very solution oriented. Um, I was working corporate for, 8, 9 years, working in fintech. And I kind of got to the point where I needed more creativity in my life. And I noticed that there wasn't as much of a positioning, like, there was a positioning problem going on with brands today. Everyone's throwing content out, no one's really understanding the message or the clarity behind it. And I was like, well, that's perfect. So that's kind of how MXN Creative came about.
Interesting. And so, yeah, I mean, that, similar to me too. I studied to be an accountant and realized that every day was about the same. And I was like, yeah, I don't know that this is going to be good for me. And then I got very lucky and became consultant, and the rest is history. But so tell us, when you started out, like how you got going, the first client, whatever is like just the process of getting to where you got to.
Yeah, so I was always doing social media part-time. I always had like a knack for this or that, and people are like, "Oh, you seem like you'd be great at this." So I got my first internship in social media around like 19 in college. I continued to do that, but when I graduated, we kind of know those jobs don't always pay the best. So I went very systems heavy IT into a Fortune 500 bank. Um, and from there, it got to a point I did that for 8 or 9 years, and my business on the side had built up, and it got to the point where I was like, I can't do both anymore. Um, and I got to the point where I kind of had lost sight of my company. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing anymore. I'm putting all this time and effort in. Corporate wasn't feeding me anymore. So I kind of did the thing that you should never do. I quit my job and I offboarded all of my clients at the same time. And I like essentially zeroed out my income. And I took a few months, I didn't work, and I really sat down and I was like, what is the hole that is missing today? And I realized that it's not a social media problem, it's a branding problem. Truly, people don't have the solutions, nor do they clarify their brand enough to attract their demographic. So it was it was rebuilding my brand first, rebuilding the community around that, and throwing community and entrepreneurship events in the Las Vegas area and the St. Louis area until somebody finally was like, okay, I pick you. And I think that kind of reinstilled that confidence in me to continue that going on. But I don't recommend that to anybody. Just like getting super fed up and going, let's start over. Because that was pretty scary.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you said that too. Is I had a similar corporate background and also quit my job, and I mean, it takes an act, as you all know, of like or this event that goes. I don't know if this is doing it for me, and I think that to your point too is you've got to go all in if you really want to make it
Oh,
do
yeah.
something. But yeah,
Oh, yeah. And it's one of
so
those things, clients within your price point too. That's another thing. Are you just running the wheel? Are you actually meeting your own expenses?
right. Yeah, no, good comment. So your first, so how, I mean, so you said somebody said let's go with it now. And so how are you attracting clients now?
I don't do a lot of ads. Most of my clients come from word of mouth because I've built up that reputation for myself. And luckily for me, a lot of them find me. So we're sitting at about 10 right now, about to onboard a few more, which is a beautiful place to be because I'm working with clients I truly believe in. So that's exciting.
And interesting, I don't know, you said you're traveling and stuff like that. So were you traveling for fun, or are you actually visiting clients and things like that, or is your work remote and you just travel wherever you want to go?
I visit clients. I'm the type of person. I actually don't know if you know this. I'm also a DJ. I need something to do with my time, so I have actually used that as a way to attract clients for myself because I'll come into small businesses, I'll set up events, um, and I'll plan whole community events around them, involve sponsorship brands, which is a lot of what I do with JLM with growth strategy and brand sponsorships. So that's actually been kind of a great in for me. I'll come, I'll play music, I'll invite a bunch of people, I'll throw them a networking event, and I'll go to new cities and I'll do that around people I know. And it's proven to work pretty well for me.
That's yeah. Because well, you got there's definitely lots of lanes to market, but I think DJ is the first time I've heard that one kind of lined up as a customer acquisition model. But I'm not knocking it. I think it's ingenious.
Surprisingly, some of my best clients have come from gigs.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Mm.
So, so you said corporate America, and I'll say this with respect, you appear to be a youngish lady. So, as far as starting out business and a lady in business, and like how's that been, and maybe then advice to other young ladies that are thinking about doing the same thing.
We'll keep it respectful here, but it's been hard. It's really hard because in corporate, there's times I became a manager at about 25, 26. I was managing a team of 70 by the time I was 26. I was running two call centers, and that was a very difficult place to be because I didn't have the same life experience. People grew to resent me that had been working a lot longer than me. Um, and then I didn't quite have the full skill set. And I can tell you that comes with time. I was in over my head. I learned quickly. Um, if I had to give somebody advice, it's take the time to fully learn and digest and enhance your own skills because management, as much as you want to get there quickly, you lose an ability to grow yourself when you're growing other people. And I saw that a lot of the people who worked for me who maybe started where I did, they started to expand quicker than I did because a lot of my time was taken by enhancing other people's skills. And then outside of that, I was trying to run a marketing agency. I was working well below what I should have been pricing. So I was running like a hamster wheel for a very long time. Um, at which point I decided to get out of management and take a software architecture role, which I think did truly enhance my skills a lot. Took a lot of that mental pressure off.
It's interesting. It's crazy you said that too, because it's a similar situation for me. A little, took a managerial role, and two things people told me. First of all, you get paid less, and second of all, you're then reliant on other people for your success. And mine was very different in the sense that it was in a sales model. So people selling, your team selling, you have less control of what you had when you were an individual contributor. And so there's a lot to be said for trusting and putting all of your faith in other people having the same work ethic, the same whatever it is that you have to is that similar like that you saw